Good morning, good morning, good morning in the evening.
Ah.
Hi, Howie. Hello.
Hello, very nice to see you. I'm so glad that we can finally do this. I've been waiting uh all
I'm
week.
so happy. I'm so
Yeah, I
happy.
love it.
Sander, hello too.
Hello, hello. Rosa, Howard, nice to be with you guys.
Yeah. So
Jill
boys,
and
let's go. Let's go. Let's talk about everything. Let's talk about this full-on aliveness. Let's talk about this fucking awesome perfection. So this time with Howard, I'm really curious about this character there with the red bandana. And please feel free to share a bit what's popping up there about your story. This would be great.
um are what are you specifically asking? Can you tell me what you want me to talk about? Like,
Well, maybe,
you're asking me to
maybe.
talk about myself, and that's like my favorite subject. I just need you to know. I just
Okay,
need
okay,
to
okay.
know where
Maybe,
exactly you want me to pick it up.
maybe how did you came in touch with subjects like non-duality?
Uh,
Maybe.
honestly, from my earliest memories, I just remember feeling, I don't know. I just knew that I was missing something. That, because people were acting as if something else was happening, and I was like, I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing it. I don't understand how you guys are. I just could not understand people at all. Or anything really. But it didn't really, I found it beautiful, and I saw my own faults and things, and right away I knew that I had desire myself. And the play in that, like where do I fit in with this weird play, you know? And but I recognized that a lot of people didn't realize their own character, their own position in it. I realized that they didn't realize their own desire.
Mm.
And so, but that's just an oversimplification. Of course, uh, to be complete, I'm just going to be honest. What
Yeah.
happened was, uh, I was around 8 years old, and my family had gotten a children's Bible, like a whole set, like a volume. And it was so weird to me. I was so blown away by that. Like, I had no idea what that meant. Some guy that was, the son of God and all of this other kind of stuff. It was so weird to me. It's so profound. And my dad said something about, oh, God hates that or something. And I said, well, God hates what? What? And I couldn't understand the concept of God and then God hating.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I asked him, God makes, you said God is everything. If God is
Mm.
everything and he makes everything, why does he hate something? I don't know. What does that mean? And
Mm.
he said, well, why don't you ask him? And I was like, what? I said, what? I could talk to God? What does that mean? And he said, it means exactly that. Ask him. When you get confused about stuff, ask him. And I said,
Beautiful.
well, how do I talk to God? And he told me how to pray, and that's how I did it that night. And I got hit with I mean, I know it seems so incredibly, it's just such a foolish story. However, I the thing that makes it different for me, um, is what I was shown. In that I was shown that my dad was going to fall ill very soon, within 2 weeks. And I was shown my life. I was shown that I was going to be crippled. I was shown all of these different things and was given this decision to make.
Wow.
If this, and I was like, you do this or this. And I essentially ran from love. I was able to, get a whiff of unconditional love. I wasn't allowed to like dive in, because I was told that I would cease to appear to be dimensional.
Mm.
And I wasn't separate from what was showing me what appeared separate and all this. And that didn't make any sense. But at the same time, I was like, look, you got to make concessions, because we're outside of time and space, looking at time and space. How does that work? And I was, and so from that point forward, I was, um, that point forward, I was just obsessed with
Okay.
trying to articulate what I had experienced.
This happened with 8 years when you
I was
were.
8 years old, and I told my mother, I was, it was, and this is something that, I'll just say it. It's hard for me to do this because it is entwined with what I was shown, as far as my father falling and having this huge medical process happen right in front of me as a child, as I was looking over him, because I couldn't understand how am I looking over him. I couldn't understand that. And they're saying, you'll see, and I said, well, how long? And it's like 10 days and blah, blah, blah. And all this stuff it sounds ridiculous, but this is what happened. And
But
so
wait. You told your mother the story?
yeah, I said,
Your father
yeah,
too?
yeah. Well, I didn't tell my dad. I was scared to tell my dad.
Okay,
Sorry.
since because got ill, or yeah, in the
He
story.
he was he was a big guy, boisterous, he's very loud and loved life. And but
Beautiful.
the penalties of that was, he'd had a couple of minor strokes, heart attacks.
Okay.
You know uh and I was told he was going to have the last in a series, and it was going to be irretrievable. He wasn't going to be able to work his way back from it. And I told my mom, Mom,
Yeah.
Dad's going to fall sick and he's not coming back this time. And she
Yeah.
said, how do you know? And I said, I didn't know what to tell her. So I said, I had a dream, or I had a vision of something. And she said, oh, you're crazy. But in my dream, I was over him, and I couldn't, and even that turned out to be when I woke up 10 days later. It was like 1 o'clock, an hour into the 10th day, 1 o'clock in the morning. I was woken up by the commotion of fire trucks and ambulances and all this other kind of stuff. And as soon as I opened my eyes, I knew it. And I walked down the hallway, and on the landing, he was right under me in the living room,
Mm.
essentially dying. And I sat there with my legs over the over the landing and watched the whole thing. And my mother was over there freaking out. She didn't see me for 45 minutes or so. And but she died, and they brought him back, and he died, they brought him back, and all the stuff that
Mm.
goes on with all of that. It was really horrific. But
Okay.
that was the last day my dad stayed in our house. And he was gone. And the thing about it is I tell that story at a cost, but it's difficult because people want to know, why are you so obsessed? And that's why.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So that's that. So I can't get away from this weird thing, that I was shown.
Mm.
And my decision, was to honor my father. I was afraid, like, what do you mean my dad's going to be gone?
Mm.
And so what happened was, they said, look, he's got his own thing, and we listen. you have to realize that this is your chance to really have an incredible life. And all I had to do was admit that it doesn't matter what it says in the books, about God and creation and all of that kind of stuff. It means nothing. None of that kind of stuff. I mean, I asked him, "Are you God?" Because it was like this weird 28-year-old kind of just regular guy, that was just there with me, kind of being my guide. And I said, and I knew that he wasn't as he appeared. I knew that was just an appearance to make me feel comfortable. But I asked him if he was God, and he says, "No, there is no God, there is no deity. It doesn't work that way." But I don't mind that, I don't mind being called a deity. I don't mind, that take on it. A lot of people have it, and I don't want you to get caught up in it. I don't need you to see me as a deity. I am you, and it's that is the hardest thing to do, is to illustrate how. And it's not it's like a unique outlook, but it is, in a way, the oversimplification of we are each other, we are nothing, this is nothing, reality is not real, but it's the unreal real, and we appear as like I would say, infinite and finite. However, not being able to know ever if we are either. And so we are both in every moment. Every moment is infinite and finite. And so,
Beautiful.
I see, like we were talking before, I have friends that were saying, stop, don't, just talking about people that have different takes on non-duality. Everybody's got their own idea about it, and that is beautiful.
Yeah,
Every
beautiful,
appearance is
beautiful.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, every appearance is different. However, it was funny. Yeah. Anyways, I'll shut up. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, it's Yeah, I'll shut up. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I lost what I was
beautiful,
talking
beautiful, Howie. Really beautiful.
about.
Very touching. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so from that moment, I've been obsessed with trying to articulate. I can't describe to you what happened. It's impossible to do that, and there is no description. It actually doesn't exist within this framework of understanding. Our understanding of dimensionality and position and framework of knowledge and all of that is literally encompassed in solely this dualistic understanding. And so, but this dualistic understanding is one of an infinite amount of different ways to appear. And so it's not that we are something or nothing. We are both everything and nothing. But the thing is I think that was what I was trying to allude to. I cannot say as people that take a more direct route. There is no self, full stop. That kind of thing. Well, that's fine. However, here I am, and it doesn't matter that I'm not foundationally real. However, as an appearance, I appear to be doing and already done at the same time. It's not one or the other, and those opposites, I think, are dimensional thinking. You're actually thinking in terms of duality is this and non-duality is that. No, that in itself is separation. Duality and non-duality are not separate at all. They're completely interwoven, and it's separation and not separation at the same time, as well as yeah like yeah yeah it's funny. It's just completely funny. You cannot actually articulate
Right.
it is the finite and the infinite being both still and motion, right? Because the infinite can't move. It's just infinitely what it is. And but within it is the finite perception and constant motion, right? So the infinite and the finite are both constantly moving and infinitely still. And then and that understanding is much like um it's just this, there is no self and nobody's doing anything. Yes, nobody's doing anything, and it does not matter what you do in this appearance. Like, you can be and do, you're free to do whatever you want. There are no consequences. However, the life you live is consequence within itself enough in that it doesn't have to have meaning beyond the appearance of the experience. So to say that it doesn't mean anything absolutely means something to you while you say it. Otherwise, you wouldn't say it. You have to have that ego to say, no, it doesn't mean anything. Well, if
It's
it
a
didn't mean
position.
anything, you wouldn't say anything. So the reality is like the death of self. There's no real self there to die in the first place, right? So it's the same thing. It's the death of self. No, it's the death of the perception that there was somebody in the first place. So what does that mean? The death of self doesn't leave, but it's not named. Now, what is that? What is that communicating with if it's not consciousness and if it's not directly my identity? So the self, as it relates to the me, okay, are like two different. The me is kind of interwoven into this dimensional understanding of an experience, right? You're going through time and space in a linear chain of events, dealing with stuff. However, the self is like an observer at random and can come in any kind of capacity in any way, not necessarily
Wait, my
connected
dear.
to what's
Wait, my dear. Wait, my dear. Let's just. I don't want to
yeah.
mix up since we have to communicate with words, even though this is only blah 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 blah. I just fucking love this energy here. This blah blah blah, even not understanding anything, but for the sake of understanding. So the me is simply those characters, this illusion
I
here, this appearance. Yeah, Rosa, the me, Howie. Okay.
The me,
And
yeah, the ones that are in this conversation. Yes.
right. And then yeah, this magic here, this wonder that this is here appearing like this, it's stunning. It's simply wow. Boom! Boom, boom, boom.
Interactive. You're
Yeah.
doing shit. You're
Love
having
that.
fun. Yeah,
Love
I am
that.
too. I love it.
Love that.
Yeah.
And then now comes up the what did you say? The me,
The
the
stuff.
the self.
The
What do you mean by this?
okay. The death of self, okay, is the misnomer that there was a me, an actual me in a reality here that is actually experiencing doing stuff as it appears in a universe of time and space on an earth, the forces of nature, cause and effect, and all of that, right? It appears that way. However, it is not validatable to be that way. Consciousness is an infinite regress, and we cannot validate what appears to be the me, right?
No.
So the me
Sander?
is on the one hand the appearance of interaction, okay, the appearance of experience. We are the individuals that are talking to each other in separation. However, the death of self, the ego that was that string or that cord that was the me and the foundation, snapped. And that snap, the lack of that tension that used to be the self, is now floating around randomly. It's not dead. It never was alive, right? Nothing is ever really alive or dead. It's just we can't validate that as a story. It just seems that way, right? We're born, we live, we die. That is the me. That is the identity. Nothing happened before, I can't remember anything before my birth. All of a sudden I was alive and this is going to happen, and I go to death. But I don't know whether I am infinite or finite. I don't know whether my consciousness is actually giving me an actual depiction of a reality because of the fact that I am not my nervous system, I am not my brain, I'm not my brain stem, I am not the tips of my nerves. So the time that it takes what appears to be my nerves to process signals from an outside reality to my brain, to myself, whatever that may be, which I believe is a conglomeration of many things, and it what that means is that what you have is a subjective story. You don't know if you are in um, a simulation, or you don't know if it's a god playing some kind of trick on you. You don't know, or a devil, or you don't know if it's a quantum fluctuation, or any number of philosophies or religions or whatever you want to come up with. None of it is wrong because you can't know, but none of it is absolutely right. It's not. None of it is objectively real or true. So you cannot know definitively one way or the other, and then you have this weird, in my case, and in I believe many people's cases, they have this strange brush with another kind of perspective, another kind of perception, and they see, wait a minute, the most obvious things are not objectively real. The most obvious pain or suffering or whatever it is you're going through is not objectively the totality of what is the broader scope of non-duality in essence. That kind of in its own the weirdest way appears separate in its own right, because what it's saying is you cannot know as an individual, right, what is on the other side of the horizon, right? You cannot say that there's nothing there. You can't say that because that's knowledge. How can you know that? You can't. So at the same time, as an appearance, you are stuck in this immediate experience that you seem to have left at one point or another, or many points, and you can get into how to do that. And then the random experience of enlightenment that seems to just absolutely just destroy anybody's idea of what reality is. And then you realize it's not, I can't objectively verify this thing that I'm trying to say. However, I can't objectively verify that I'm actually talking right now, right? That we are actually separate. I can't actually say that any of this is actually happening as it appears. My brain can be in a vat or a jar, getting little pulses from, and then you don't even know if a brain is necessary, because that is just a story of source and cause and effect, entropy and time and space and dimension, and the necessity of force and work and labor, and you need to struggle to find this out. No, it doesn't work that way at all. You don't just, you have to, you don't really have to, you don't have to do anything. But
There is, but
it's the
Howie,
funniest thing,
wait a sec, please, Howie. Wait a sec, please, Howie. So first of all, thank you very much. I tried to follow you. I really tried to follow you a bit. Maybe I didn't get it, but who cares? It's really not
Thank you
about
for letting me grab
understanding.
along.
Yeah, and Sander, would you please comment on this? Yeah, what is popping up there in Sander, apparently?
Well, that whatever this, this conversation now at Howard, Howarding and Rosa Rosing and Sander Sander. I mean, there is absolutely no way to validate any of this, if it's real or not real. This is simply not possible to actually say that this is happening or not happening. So it's happening and not happening at the same time, both and neither. There's no way of knowing if there's something beyond disappearance, if there's something at all appearing. There's just nothing to say about it. And still saying and talking about it and trying to maybe to know it or to find out, it's just simply part of what seems to be happening, and that is controllable and not controllable at the same time, both and neither. There's just simply, for all we can say, we are just a jellyfish in a bottle, getting stimulated. There's nobody knowing this. There's no way. Nobody knows this. I mean, except for the apparent knowledge, which seems to arise at this moment, and even that is highly doubtful. Because I mean, there's no way looking behind it or beyond it or within it. It's just there's nothing to say. I mean, at one point, this all apparently started happening. Nobody has experienced his own birth, and nobody will experience his own death, because it's just simply, you know, the birth in this appearance is birth is just a story, a second-hand story, which is told. You've been born. There's no experience whatsoever. No, nobody knows this. Nobody knows his birth. It's just suddenly just this, whatever this is, started playing or whatever, apparently. So, you know, and within this appearance, there seems to be all different types of apparent experiences, which cannot be validated to be real or unreal. There's nothing to say about it, because already the speaking is just simply happening and not happening at the same time. There's nobody here which can really validate this or say this is real or unreal. Nobody can prove that this is real or unreal.
Yeah,
So,
to be able to say it's real or unreal, there must be someone, there must be a separation. So there is no separation.
well, there is an apparent separation.
Yeah.
So
but
there
not
is
a real. Can we say there is no real separation? What is real? What is not real?
Well, it's in a way, it's just I mean, Howard can probably say something about what is real and what is unreal. But even that it's just a position, you know. Real is a position and unreal is also a position, and even that is already a position. That real is a position and unreal is a position is already a position. So there's an infinite amount of positions. I mean, yeah, it's just yeah, there's nothing to say.
It's okay. For me here, as I see it, apparently there is just this aliveness. There is just life. There is no Rosa and life. There is only life, full on, and everything is this full onness. Since there is no separation, it's just a word, of course. It's just a story here. But this is actually this boom, this wow, this yeah. I cannot say it differently. And here is no intention to or no drive to understand real, unreal, me, not me. You know, this is just there is no interest in this.
But no, but that is just simply uncontrollable already.
Yeah.
Interest in this or not
Yeah.
in this, or
Everything
whatever,
is it.
already,
Everything
yeah,
is it. Yeah.
is already just simply what seems to be happening, and a sudden apparent interest in finding out what this is, or the absence of that interest, is just also simply what seems to be happening.
Yeah. There is really here no sense of that anything is missing or lacking. Everything is it, no matter what. And this is cannot be defined. It's just what is, no matter what. But Howie, what about real and unreal? Would you please say something?
Well, I think you guys are both right and wrong, and I'm right and wrong, but the interesting thing is we have three different ways of looking at it. personally think that it's not already, and it's not, and it's not spontaneous. I think it's both. I think it's spontaneously already, and it's like it's done as doing. It appears already finished as us um interact.
Apparently.
Yeah, I mean, but the appearance, just because you're an appearance doesn't mean that you don't interact. And I mean, it's just for me, it's just inconsequential.
Can we call it illusion? Can we call it
Well,
illusion?
well, yeah, I mean, but there needs to be a reality. I mean, but even that,
Yeah,
it's not right, because there needs to be a reality to be
an
um
illusion.
to be obscured in order to see an illusion. So there's no actual illusion either. It just is real, unreal, at the same time.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
what I like to talk about, and the reason why I like to talk about the intricacies involved with these kind of discussions, is because I like to push the language and the understanding to the point where people realize that language and understanding and knowledge are truly just random. I mean, in regards to the actuality of what we're trying to point to. The thing is that it's not so simple, as in it is, I don't, it doesn't matter, because it's just everything's so beautiful, or it's already done, or everything's so spread. It doesn't work that way. It literally morphs and is what it wants to be, in any way it wants to be, at any time it wants to be. It changes, and it literally is, you cannot encompass it with any kind of description. And so it is
Right.
duplicitous, and it is already, but then at other times it
Exactly.
is completely spontaneous and random, and then at other times it is like oblivious and totally, and then at other, it just constantly changes. And the weirdest thing about it is, um in that you almost have to grasp and let go simultaneously.
There's no
You
landing.
yeah, there's nothing to hold on to, right?
You free
But
fall.
it is almost in the grasping of nothing to hold on to that you realize and move forward.
Yes.
And even moving forward is just not what I not accurate, but insofar as expanding your idea of what it could mean to be aware, but not necessarily separate, or an individual. How does that work? Awareness without separation. You know what I mean? And so, but that is exactly what appears to be happening. We are aware, but not separate. So it's the very thing that people say, no, it's this, or yes, it's that, is, you know, that is what I like to try to talk about. And it's so difficult, because it's just, you lose it immediately. There's no actual language that you could put it in. And so you have to paint these pictures with words, and it gets, long and sometimes random, and, there's nobody getting anything. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody will go, oh, I get it. I see what you're saying. And then we'll lose it. But that one little brush, it's completely random, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with a progression of understanding or knowledge, or a lesson. It has to do with somebody's mind just kind of wandering into that
Think-
placelessness, where,
Yeah.
and then suddenly, oh, I get it. And when that happens,
What
as it
what
like
what is it? What is it? What is gotten then?
that's the funny thing. Now you want to get into the words of, or the language of, the identity that didn't get, that he got, that he didn't get anything, whatever. And it's like the death of self. So the death of self that didn't die, because it's not a self to die. So, but here we are, not being who we are, talking about not being who we are. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So we could talk about, what is the right way to say it, which is a part of it. Obviously we have to discuss these things in order to get to where we're going, but where we're going is nowhere. Just like infinite motion or infinite stillness and perpetual motion at the same time. Infinity and the finite are, without the finite you couldn't even imagine infinity, and without the imagination of infinity you couldn't know whether or not you would just be finite. You would know for a fact that this is this and that and that, but you can't know anything, because infinity and finite, just like self and no self, or existence and no existence, consciousness or no consciousness, it all just kind of moves together and stays the same. And so the funniest thing is when you realize that, oh, knowledge is subjective, and so I don't know what could be real or not real. And so
knowledge
is,
sorry Howie, knowledge is fucking limited.
Well, it's subjective. It doesn't mean anything. It's
only, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything.
Right. It's limited to the understanding of your me that is in a dimension and relative to other things, and
blah blah
things
blah
that
blah
mean
blah
something
blah.
to you in your mundane.
Yeah.
But that it's not to say that does not, like, when people are suffering or anything like that, the shit feels very real. I'm suffering, I'm hurting, damn, this hurts, this sucks, blah 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 blah. I'm not making light of that suffering. I'm just saying that it's not the only way to see what is and what isn't. I mean, because real being locked into the appearance of dimensionality and the individual in a position of space and time, there's a certain amount of knowledge that can get you to the place where logically you realize that knowledge is subjective and completely arbitrary. It doesn't mean anything in an objective sense of truth, which means that it doesn't, it has no bearing on what we're trying to talk about.
Sorry for interrupting you. It doesn't mean anything in the sense of truth.
Yes.
There's no truth.
Is there truth?
And what is truth? Right.
What is truth?
Yeah, what is truth? So the idea of true or false or anything like that is only relative to the understanding of knowledge. And so it's not an understanding, it's not knowledge, it's not something that you can make an equation about and answer. It does not work that way. So what you end up doing is, okay, wait a minute, or at least me, I like to run around and use a lot of words and try to find that common ground with somebody. And it's worth it after everything's said and done. Actually, that's just my style. But when it does happen, it's really cool. However, in the long haul, the coolest thing about it is all of the words and all of the different intricacies that I'm using are all for naught. It means nothing at all. And you simply realize that all this whole nest of words and logic and language and all this stuff is just something to just kind of like you just kind of kick back and laugh and realize that this is that that perpetual motion and that infinite stillness. You don't have to stop doing anything as an appearance. You don't have to define whether or not you're doing something. You can't know that. It doesn't matter. It's
totally. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's already this. It's already perfection. It's already perfection. There is really no one who can choose or decide anything. So it's perfection already, no matter what. No matter what.
But it is also your story, in that this is what I think. Because you cannot know definitively. I am either doing something or not doing something. The science is saying this. The science is saying a lot of things. Quantum physics says a lot of things. The science of consciousness says a lot of things. The macro physics this says everything that indicates that you cannot know. And in the same way, you cannot know whether or not you're actually interacting in any capacity has no bearing on the fact that I feel like I'm interacting right now. And that is not separate from anything.
Right.
So what difference does it make what science says in regards to knowledge or whatever? It's just another indicator that shows you can't know anything, and that what seems obvious is infinitely unknowable. So the reality is that once you realize that all of this being subjective is not the totality either necessarily. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. However, I am saying that I seem to have left the immediate experience. That is what the enlightenment story is to me. Everybody keeps saying that it doesn't happen, and it doesn't, traditionally speaking. However, in appearance that is not foundationally real, it doesn't actually exist, is not, I mean, by any presumption, caged within immediate experience. The appearance can exceed the immediate experience to my estimation, and that is what the enlightenment experience is. You actually
can you
leave.
stop? Can you put it in different words so that I can understand the last two
Sure.
sentences, maybe?
Okay, so you're an appearance, right? You're not a self. Okay. You absolutely have no foundation in an objective reality, right? So people will say that because you're not actual, because you're not a real self, because you're not, well, they'll make that other, a lot of the same people will make that conclusion that because you're not doing anything, even though they can't know that, you aren't going, you don't go through an enlightenment experience. You're not interactive. You're not doing anything. However, what I say is, it's beyond that. It's not either doing or not doing. It's actually doing, not doing. And what you seem to do is go beyond what the appearance is tending to believe is obviously real, which is I am holding this ashtray, or what I'm talking right now, whatever it is. You as a character leave and talk to, at least I did, talk to what seems to still be communicating with me, from time to time. And still, I have these premonitions and things of that nature. Now, that sounds ridiculous, but it is what it is. And I don't care at all, because it's, it's just my own thing. Anyways, the reality is, people will come back from these moments of clarity or whatever. Apparently, people of appearance.
Yeah.
Will come back and they'll say, from these enlightenment stories,
Glimpses.
Glimpses, whatever. I mean, most people that I've met throughout my life were just, I mean, the ones that had that kindred, kind of thing. It's like, you tell, you've been, where there are no words, there's no way to even, that you've been to where it's unspeakable, it's unnameable, it's, you can't say it. So, but those people, right? But they don't, every one of them to me has their own personality, and the last thing that they would try to do is, well, maybe that's a little bit, I don't know. It just depends. You can get some crazy prophets that try to say what is or what is not, and what I'm saying is that it's another stickler, because there'll be people say that no, there's no you to have an experience. Yeah, but I'm not here now, and yet we're talking. It doesn't have to be foundational. So, and you don't.
Yeah, it's an appearance. It's the illusion.
And
Yeah.
it is whatever. Yeah, whatever you want to call it. It is whatever you want to articulate it as. How it's just the one reality of it is, ironically, that, like, for example, the three of us would not be able to agree upon what is, let's say, if we were scientists, what is reality? Okay, well, we're going to have a discussion about reality, But first, we have to agree upon what we're going to agree reality is, because we can't know what reality is. So we have to make an agreement about where we're going to begin the discussion. Okay. In the same way that the three of us have different ideas about what is or is not beyond speech, beyond words. So, you know, you could say the funniest thing about it is people that say, well, there's nothing beyond, like, there's nothing. I saw this thing the other, by this guy. You know, okay. There's nothing.
Oh, you're so cute.
Yeah, I'm not. What is it? Okay, there's nothing beyond, you know, immediate experience. Say, okay, and
just this.
And then in the very
just
next,
this.
and then in the very next statement, somebody might say, the same somebody will say, there's nothing beyond me experience, and there's nothing beyond me experience, you can't do that. And, you know, I lost it. Shit, I'm sorry. I lost what I was.
Perfection.
I lost what I was saying.
Sander, come on, go on.
I lost what I was saying.
Beautiful.
You know, apparently it's not more that than, as far as we know, this is happening. But when you look closely to as far as we know, there is no knowing. There is no knowing. There is no true knowing. So as far as we know, it's just simply like whatever the hell the mind or thoughts are telling, that is then just simply what seems to be happening. But there is no actual knowledge about anything.
Okay, well, how about this? All right. Now this is fun. This is fun because there is no one, right? So there's no brain, there's no mind. You're not doing that, right? You're not doing what you're doing right now, right? There's no knowing anything. And
there's
so
no foundation, yes, but there's no knowing if this is really happening or not happening, if you're doing something to begin with or not.
Right. So if the assumption was there was nobody here doing anything, if that was what people say, there's nobody here to do anything. But there's somebody here to know that there's nobody here to do it. Okay, you know.
Yeah, but that's the same. Who is able to know that then? Nobody knows that there's no knowing already. There's also that there's nothing to know is also a form of knowing, that there's nothing to know.
Yeah.
Right.
Position.
So if there's no, and in that case as well, okay, here's this person saying, then no, you're wrong. There's no you doing anything, right? Okay, but if there's no
How
me
could you know
doing
this?
yeah, well, not only that, but if I'm not doing it, then how can I be wrong? I mean, how am I wrong if I'm not the one that's saying it? I'm not the one thinking it. I'm not the one doing
But
it
you're
or
right
appearing
and
this
wrong
way.
at the same time.
So yeah, so there's no right or wrong in that case.
No.
I mean, it just appears to be the you know, it is non-duality appearing dualistic, and that right. And from within my perspective, I think that we are communicating, right, and there's time and space between us. We are points of intellect that have, you know, things to say and emotions to express. Now, what is the issue with that? That possibility in that, why is it, if time and space is not relative and because knowledge is completely debunked, there's no reason to believe that we are or are not, or not both, in a position in a dimension. We are inside and outside of time and space simultaneously. Why is it impossible to believe that as a non-dual whatever, I decided to be dualistic and now am seeing through your eyes and my eyes simultaneously, and through what appears to be time and space to each of us at the same time? And see, that might seem like, well, that's separation. Yeah, but it's separation and non-separation simultaneously, and you cannot limit what you don't know, you know. And on top of that, that is just this game. So now, and not only that, but I could be non-duality as however you want to express that random, because if I'm not saying it or doing it, then non-duality is expressing this, right? So non-duality is expressing that not only am I you, but you are me and we are each other, and we don't even know it. I can't know what you're saying and or thinking, right? I can't know what you're thinking. You can't know what I'm thinking, but at the same time, we're not separate. So that's the game of separation. That's what I
Beautiful.
mean by it's just a trinket.
That's
So
what I love. This is in
so
loveness.
we are each other and we are separate at the same time.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it doesn't, we don't have to change what appears to be happening or not happening. We just realize that we actually are doing and not doing at the same time. It's truly inside and outside of space and time.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
And it's that simple. People say you're making it too complicated. I'm saying no, it's actually, the words seem complicated, but what I'm saying is it's more simple than you realize. It's more simple than you can imagine, because it is exactly what it appears. And however, it's not separate from what you can't imagine is also happening or not happening. That doesn't even have anything to do with dimensionality or the negation of the dimension, in that it is not either the negation of dimension or actually dimensional. So how do you appear without the negation of dimension or dimension? How does that work? And what I saw, or what I was shown, was an infinite array of ways to appear that have absolutely nothing to do with what appears to be the reality or its negation in this plane of understanding, whatever you want to call it, this reality.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So we can, so our ways to exist, existence itself is simply, it's just relative to this game. It doesn't mean anything. So, you know what I mean? And we are so insignificantly in this one little area of understanding, in this one game, as each of us are the identities of ourselves. I am going to be Howard infinitely. I am here now infinitely. Everything about me is infinite and finite, right? However, I am just a part of you and this and everything else. I will always be here, and I will always be somewhere and everywhere else, so it's beautiful in that respect.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wow. Howie booming. What? Great.
It's lovely.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, this whole conversation is just simply flowing effortlessly.
And it's different. See, and that's the other beautiful thing, in that none of this is already, but it is the possibility that has always been, right? So this has always been, but it is simultaneously, spontaneously just happening at the same time. You see what I mean? It is both the possibility, the infinite possibility of the three of us, and then the infinite possibility of the three of us actually meeting as individuals and who to become whatever we want to be in our lives, given the choice of, da 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 da. And now here I am, on the one hand, unable to know how I ended up exactly where I was shown I was going to be, but at the same time, shown that I would be here, but given the freedom to completely feel as if I was on my own little breeze the whole time, wondering how it was going to happen, but at the same time knowing that it would happen. So, when it actually happened and I got crippled, people were like, "Oh shit," "Oh my god," da, da, da. And I was just smiling. And it was like, "How can you smile, man?" And some of my friends understood. I had been saying my whole life, I know this is going to happen, and it did. And so it was confirmation to me, and it really kind of helped me in a way, because I always knew it would. So when it actually did happen, I was like I knew it, like I saw it coming, and the whole night. It was weird the way it both was shown to me, and then I actually made it kind of happen at the same time. You know what I mean? It was like
I feel this.
both.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
Mm,
and it was so bizarre. So like I wasn't so I told my mother before I went to the hospital, this is it. I'm never gonna be the
mm,
same. I'll never work again. And
mm.
oh, you're crazy. And it happened. And I was, oh my God. But the thing is, what I wanted to get to at that, what I mean was that is why, and again, how it seems like the experience I had when I was 8 years old culminates into this very moment, almost daily. There's this piece that
Mm, mm,
is no separate. I mean, I'm still that kid.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mm.
I'm still having people ask, well, what about the immediate enlightenment experience? For me, there is no end to the enlightenment. I mean, whatever you want to call that, I never
Mm,
considered myself, enlightened.
mm.
But I mean, until this whole thing with non-duality and everything, I think that it doesn't end, and there's no. But anybody can,
I would, it's beautiful. Yeah, I can
yeah,
totally sense this in a way. I would call it sober, not
yeah.
enlightenment, but sober. Simply so simple. I love simple, simple,
I
simple,
don't know about sober.
It's,
I
yeah, but no, it's
don't
just
know.
what's
I don't know
coming
about
up,
that. I
just
think
what's coming
drunk
up.
on it.
Yeah. Mm. Wow.
Thinking,
I don't know.
Howard, what are you doing
It made
there?
me feel as if I was
Mm.
in a game. I just felt like immediately this is a game. It doesn't matter. And that was one of the messages I got was it does not matter what you do. It will matter to you in the course of your life, and it's going to feel like this and that and the other, but you will be loved no less, no matter what you do.
Mm.
And when I say love, I mean I was shown that unconditional fountain of
Yeah.
holy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
Beautiful. 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 Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing.
you, man.
So beautiful, Xander. Would you love to add anything to this?
Well, not really.
You're killing me, man.
Yeah, no, so beautiful, really. Yeah.
No, but there's nothing to say, I mean, just this.
Boom.
Um, just this talking, sitting with Howard and Rosa, and it's nothing and it's everything at the same time, and it's completely unknown, and it's
Perfection.
Yeah, absolutely perfection.
Absolutely perfection, guys. I want to thank you so, so much for this beautiful talk, for this
Oh my God,
beautiful
thank you.
chat. I really enjoyed it. And let's stay in touch and maybe do another one. And
Oh,
I would love to share this, of course, with whoever, whatever, just one, just this. So yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
absolutely. Please send me a copy, would you?
Cool. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Saunders.
thank you, Howard, Rosa.
Love you.